Om Shruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaika Murtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This idea of tadatmyam, tad atma, mutual identification between two, is an important concept. And the red hot iron ball is the example that is taken. The fire and the iron ball, which have completely different characteristics, are superimposed upon each other. One on the other, this one on that one. The idea, the concept of tadatmyam is to be understood correctly. The examples that we use have to be from within the loka, but they're good examples. Like this red hot iron ball, an iron ball which is otherwise hard and cold to the touch, a fire which is hot and bright. There is tadatmyam in that red hot iron ball. So we saw that the ahankara, idea, the concept of I, is inextricably mixed up with the chit-chaya. Like I said yesterday, it is not as if you have a chaya, which is an image, and a reflecting surface and all that. It is only a concept that you have to understand. Even in our normal day-to-day life, we see an image in the mirror. We cannot separate that image from the mirror. It's the same. You remove one, the other is gone. In Anvaya Vyatireka, mutual interdependence, we want. Because of this tadatmyam, the jada vastu, ahankara, and everything else that follows from there, the mind, the physical body, senses, everything which is insentient assumes a sentiency, borrowing that sentiency from Chitchaya. There is only one sentient thing in this entire, not only Shrishti, there is only Chaitanyam. It is the only Chit. Everything else borrows from that only. Through this medium called Chitchaya, Chitichaya. And struts around saying, I am a conscious being. And that I identification with the ego, ahankara, with the other antakaranani, the subtle parts of the system, and this sthula sharira. It's easy to see that the sthula sharira is jada. Sometimes it's a little more difficult to see that the sukshma sharira is also jada. Ahankara also is non-existent, non-self-existent. All of them get their existence only from Chaitanya. Because of the tadatmya. Ahankara, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the seer, I am the thinker. All of these are only vritti, flow of thought, which by itself has no life of its own. But this vritti consciousness, borrowed from Chitichaya, appears to imbue thinking, intelligence, life, everything into that. Amazing. Having concluded that through the ego that I am, I exist, then it also gives the same kind of sense of sentiency to all that follows. So we saw yesterday, ahankarasya tadatmyam
Ahankarasya tadatmyam
ichchaya deha sakshivihi
Ichchaya dega sakshihi
sahajam karmajam bhranti
sahajam karma bhranti
janyam cha trividham kramat
Janyan Kshatrividam
sambandhino satur nasti
sambandhino tidor nati
nivirtis sahajasyatu
nivriti sahadastadu
karma kshamat prabodhascha
karma kshavatala prokta
nivartete kramadhuve.
tete gamatve.
All right, there is tadatmyam. And we saw that because of the initial tadatmyam of Hankara with Chitchaya, which is a natural phenomena, gives it the feeling I am, I exist. They appear together. They cannot be separated. It is sahajam. Therefore, you can never refute I am. What the problem really is, what is that I am? As long as I think it is ahankara, it is real, it is there. That sentient ego, because of its tadatmyam with chitchaya, further does the same thing with the sharira. The sharira also looks sentient because of the tadatmyam of the hankara with the sharira. When a child is born, this tadatmyam is also born. Child is born with a particular sharira because of karma. Whether it is a child, human child, or a mosquito child, the same process. There is tadatmyam that happens. In the case of the tadatmyam between hankara and chichaya, he said it is sahajam, it is natural, it is the way it is. In the case of the tadatmyam with the sharira, sharira itself is born of karma. One gets a particular sharira, it's a human sharira or a dog sharira or a tree sharira, because of one's karma. There is no way of saying when did the tadatmyam start, when the sharira came tadatmyam. Therefore, aham, identified with the sharira. Therefore, I am fat, I am tall, all of that comes. And we saw that there's a difference in the perception of the I at different levels, at a human level, animal level, at a tree and plant level, and at a mineral level. That tadatmyam is always there. Then the real I is what? Sakshi. We've seen that. That's only Dṛg. What is Dṛg? Subject. Everything else is object. Even though it looks like a subject, each of these become objects to something else, to another Dṛg. Each of these vary, each of these change, each of these have varieties. And therefore you need a Sakshi to be able to see that change. Therefore, the only Dṛg, the only subject, the only I can be that which is ever Dṛg, never Dṛśya. Dṛgeva natu drishyate. If that is I, what about all these other ones? They are really non-I. But the way the identification starts, hankara, tadatmyam with the real I, superimposing the properties of one on the other, not being able to extricate them and see them separately, is what is the tadatmyam that we see. So he breaks down the tadatmyam into that between ahankara and chichaya, giving it sentiency. That sentiency is extended to the sharira by the tadatmyam, the ahankara with the sharira. And there is also the tadatmyam of ahankara, I sense, with chit, chaitanya, sakshi, the real I, the only I. Why real I? I do not recognize most jivas, other than humans, can't even recognize that there is a separate idea of I. Amongst humans also, very, 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 very few even look at that possibility. But we have been given the faculty to do some discriminative inquiry. Which we don't use. Labdva narajanma durlabham. Tatrapi pumstvam ātmatattva na yateta. Having got this narajanma, which is itself very, very, very difficult, is got after many, many, many janmas. We waste it. Tattva narajanma durlabham. Having got that, ātmatattva na yateta. Don't make any effort to understand. Such a person who does not use their ability to do vichara, saha moodhadihi. Moodhadihi is confused buddhi. Sa atmaha, destroyer of the self. Asatgrahat, because you hang on to what is not correct. How easily applies to most humanity. Swamiji, let this tadatmya be there, no? Why should I bother? Let the tadatmya be there. I have my work. I get my wealth. By spending the wealth, I gain some comfort. I have a beautiful family. I have respect in my society. Let the tadatmya be there, no? All you can say to a person who talks like that is, tathastu. Keep it. When you go round and round and round and round, at some point you start wondering, what is this that I'm doing? I earned money. I want even more money. I want even more money. I've traveled the world. I've met all kinds of people. I've tasted success. Then what? Is that end the end? There has to be something more. When that thinking starts appearing, that there is something incomplete here, that there's something I'm missing. Is this tadatmyam real? Because all that I thought I was doing, working, towards what? Shruti says, when you recognize that the loss you incur is infinite. The loss you incur is infinite because the gain is infinite. You are infinite. You are born a prince, and that fellow is begging on the streets because he doesn't know. And even when somebody tells him you're the prince and everything here belongs to you, he still has a tendency to see, oh, some prasadam is being given there. I must go, otherwise I will miss my prasadam. Why should I do anything about the tadatmya? There is tadatmya. Okay, I accept all you say. All this analysis you've done, that there is Chaitanyam and there is this reflected Chaitanyam called Chitchaya, that there's identification between Ahankara and Chitchaya. And because of this identification, I think I am, I exist. That same identification I extended to the Sharira, Sthula Sukshma Sharira. And therefore everything looks alive. What happens when the body falls? Dust turns to dust. The Sukshma Sharira also is not available. Every Sukshma Sharira consisting of the 17 items, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 variety of prana, and Buddhi, Manas, Ahankara, and Chit, memory. 19. Sometimes the count is 17, sometimes count is 19. All of them are based on what Sthula Sharira one has. So if one has an animal Sharira, a mosquito Sharira, appropriate Sukshma Sharira is provided. And this Sukshma Sharira differences seem to create apparent differences in the Jadatvam, Jada Jada Bheda. But the fact is, all of them are Drshyam. And being Drshyam, Jadatvat, Drshyatvat, Jada. My God, Swamiji, in one stroke, you made me Jada. No. You have identified yourself with the Jada. So what can I do? he said that the tadatmyam with ahankara and chichaya is sahajam. It is non-separable. Nothing you can. And you needn't do anything. Because if you separate it, then ahankara becomes jada. How am I going to study all this? I'm going to do anything if the ahankara is jada. So I need the ahankara to be lent sentiency. So that you don't have to do anything about. Let it be there. With that tadatmyam, I can examine all the others. I can examine the tadatmyam between the ahankara and the sharira. This ahankara between sharira and this tadatmyam ahankara and sharira arises from karma. While the tadatmyam between the ahankara and chichaya cannot and need not be removed, the cause for the tadatmyam between the ahankara and sharira is karma. When a child is born, the doctor picks up the child and tries to give it one slap. Everybody anxiously is waiting. When will the child make the first cry? Probably the only time when the mother feels extremely happy when the child cries. That is already there. That karma which resulted in that particular sharira, in that particular place, to that particular parentage, in that particular time frame, already there. But because the root cause of that is karma, and the sharira has taken that shape to exhaust that karma, and that exhaustion of the karma, you need to do nothing. I mean, I'm going to speed up the exhaustion of my karma. You can do nothing. Nor can you slow it down. That karma and karma phala are infallible processes. Karma phala is in fact called satyam, because you cannot do anything. That is why even when the person gains jivan mukti, he is a person, a jnani, even he can do nothing about it. That sharira has to go through that karma phala. Sometimes early in this thing we used to wonder. Somebody like Pujya Swami G, who is clearly somebody who's understood, who's a jnani, why does he have to suffer so much? Towards the last bits, he was suffering physically quite a lot. He would be under dialysis all night, early morning come to the class. I don't know how he slept. But it didn't bother him. Because the karma phala has to exhaust. Before the sharira can fall, the karma phala has to exhaust. And it will exhaust. Not only will it exhaust, when it exhausts, the sharira will fall. There's no more use for the sharira. So when the sharira falls, tadatmyam is gone. That's how the sharira falls. Because the cause of this tadatmyam is karma, the cause for the sharira and therefore the tadatmyam is karma, when that karma is exhausted by experiencing the karma phala, that tadatmyam naturally goes. So we have one in which he says there is no need to do anything. You need that tadatmyam. Without the tadatmyam, you are a jadavastu. With the sharira, which also gains sentiency because of the tadatmyam with the ahankara, which has already gained sentiency from the tadatmyam with the chitchaya, that can go. In fact, that will go. But what happens once it goes? Another sharira has to be taken. Till then, what happens? Maybe it becomes the ghost. Maybe what we call the ghost. We do all these rituals, no? When somebody dies, it is meant to facilitate the movement of this sukshma sharira, which is in tadatmyam with the chitchaya, to an appropriate destination. Whatever destination it takes, it has to have a new sharira. Otherwise, it is hanging in to Sangu. So these rituals are done to facilitate that process. You might go to another loka, but that also has another sharira. It won't be the same sharira, obviously. But there'll be another sharira. Or it might come back to this Martyaloka with whatever sharira is prescribed because of the new set of karma. So although the tadatmya with that particular sharira ends, the process is endless. There is tadatmya with the new sharira, goes through the same process. Right? So far, I have had to do nothing. My ahankara tadatmyam with chitchaya is sahajam. I can do nothing about it. I need not do anything about it. Tadatmya with the sharira is a natural process. It will end and a new one will start. What about the third one? Ahankara, I. I sense, I consciousness. Identification with the sakshi, with the I. Where does this come from? Bhranti. Trividam kramat, he said. Sahajam is the tadatmya with ahankara with the chitchaya. Karmajam, born of karma, is the tadatmyam of the ahankara with the sharira. And Bhrantijanyam, born of ignorance. Confusion. We don't recognize the sakshi. And we're not able to cognitively separate it from ahankara because of bhranti. Now, if it is because of ajnanam, then there should be a way of removing it through jnanam. Jnanam is opposed to jnanam. If ajnanam is the cause, jnanam should be able to remove it. If darkness is what is the problem, light should get rid of that. So in the next verse he says, how these different identifications of the ahankara can be removed. If we don't remove them, if we let it be, fine, keep going around. But because we have certain amount of vichara and discrimination, we say there has to be something more. There has to be a way of all this is clearly not what I'm looking for, what I am. And to do that, the tadatmyam between ahankara and chichaya, nothing needs to be done, nothing can be done. Tadatmyam between ahankara and sharira will just keep going round and round. But the tadatmyam between ahankara and sakshi, atma, I, can be dealt with, which is what we're trying to do. Sambandhino sator nasti, nivritti nasti. The nivritti, the removal of the sambandha, which is sahajam. There's no question of removal. Like I said, you can't remove. You remove it, there's nothing left. Then who is going to do all this study of Shastra? Sambandhinaha sataha nasti, nivritti nasti, sahajasyatu. Of what is sahajam, there is no possibility of removal of this tadatmya, sambandha, mutual identification. So between the ego and the three, first between ego and the chichaya, he says, this is sahajam, and that sahajam sambandha cannot be removed. Sambandhinaha sataha nivritti nasti. Or sahajasya. However, sahajasya sambandhinaha sataha nivritti nasti. It is there, it will be there. Karmakshayat. Other two. Kramat ubhe. Ubhe is other two. One sambandha between ahankara and sharira, and sambandhina with ahankara and sakshi. Kramat ubhe. Respectively, these two, karmakshayat. As the karma gets exhausted, that tadatmyam exhausts with that particular sharira. Karmakshayat nivartete. Nivartete dual. Both will go. This tadatmyam between sharira and ahankara will go. Nivartete. What about the other one? Prabodhacha. Prabodha samaye. Prabodha samaye yap pratim yajnayate. when one is awake, alert, and has recognized that I am Sakshi, I am the Dṛk, everything will fall. There is no tadatmya. All of them will fall. I am not this body, but the body is I. I am not the subtle sharira, I am not the hankara, I am not the chitta, I am not the manas. But all of them are I. With that jnanam arising and being assimilated, nothing is left. Just a minute. Sorry for the interruption. Prabodha samaye, when knowledge takes place, knowledge of the cognitive separation of the Sakshi and Ahankara. Even now, it is not a physical separation. Therefore, a person who gets this kind of knowledge assimilated, aparokshataya, is the jnani, but still has to be in that sharira. Ahankara will be in the sharira. But suddenly the whole thing opened up. The I notion changes. Therefore, everything is I. Everything is I. Jada, Chaitanya, here, there, everything. But none of that is I. Sorry, I am none of that. I is none of that. All this is I. Because they all arise from I. The karyam is the same as the karanam. But the karanam is not karyam. The clay is not the pot. But the pot is the clay. When jnanam arises, then everything drops. Then one recognizes that I, Chaitanyam, is the only chiti. Everything else is borrowed from this chiti. Now we can go back to that line. Tvameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. Everything is only anubhati. That tvam is what? That tvam is the sakshi. It is not a sakshi sitting somewhere else. It is I. Aham vritti. Everything else is not I. Sarvamidam. Everything is sarvam. Ishavasham idagas sarvam. All of it is I. I am none of them. I am I. Purnaha, Avyayaha, Avikaraha. All the others are dependent reality. In just these 2-3 verses, having brought the idea of Dṛk and Dṛśya as a prakarana for looking at this, in these 2-3 verses, make very clear what is the Dṛk, what is the Sakshi. Sambandhino satornasti nivritti sahajasyatu karmakshaya prabodascha nivartete kramadubhe. That which is sahajam, janmana sahajayate, can't change. But that which is born of karma, which is karmajam, will on its own exhaust. And that which is born of Bhranti, some effort I have to make. To remove that, in all this action that we're describing, our Ahankara is the hero. Ahankara plays many roles. First, it usurps Chaitanyam to itself because of the association with the Chitchaya. Not even with the Chitti, Chitchaya. Then it pretends to lend the same Chaitanyam to the Sharira. Tells the world, I am. And all the other words that go following I am. I am fat, I am tall, I am intelligent, I am hungry, I am saddened. I have difficulty breathing. None of it is I. The Sharira is fat. The Manas is disturbed. Prana is operating and having difficulty operating. I am the Karta. I do everything. You do nothing. Because if you understand I as Sakshi, he is a Karta. But so many things are happening in the presence of the Sakshi. Na karoti, na karayati. She neither does anything nor does it make anything happen. Simply there is one. Everything happens. Navadvare pure dehi. Whole pura, the Sharira. Lot of things are happening. Like when the boss is in the office, a lot of things happen. Boss has to do nothing himself, nor does he have to make somebody do it. Just happens because he's there. In the old days when the king was there in the castle, they'd have a flag flying. So you know the king is there. Anybody in any remote part of it would know, therefore he does what he has to do. Na karoti, na karayati. When jnanam takes place, prabodha happens. Tadatmyam nivartate. That is the prabodha. No? That is the recognition of that ahankara. Ahankara doesn't go, it is still there. Sharira doesn't go, Sharira is still there. But what goes is the false notion. The tadatmyam between ahankara and sakshi. That goes. The recognition of myself as the sakshi. That recognition is what is required. Then this tadatmyam goes, every other tadatmyam also, all three disappear. There is no more karma left. Not only prarabdha karma you have to exhaust. The sharira has to fall. Sharira doesn't go. The world doesn't disappear in smoke because I've got jnanam. World continues. People continue to praise you. People continue to abuse you, insult you. But they're insulting what? The karya karana sanghata. Because they have not seen what you've seen. What the jnani has seen, they have not seen. Therefore, the jnani is bothered. Now you relate it to what we've been studying in the Bhagavad Gita. Samatvam in all situations comes from this understanding. That everything here is I. Therefore, even the fellow who abuses you is I. The abuse is I. The praise he heaps on you is I. That I is not in this sharira. That I is partless. Or that I am. Now you should start saying I am. I am partless. Everything else is dependent, mithya. Everything is drsya. I am the dṛg. Dṛg-dṛśya-viveka padartau staha. Dṛg satyam dṛśya-meva vidya. It is as good as saying the whole prapancham one creates in a dream with everything that we have in the waking world is the dreamer. Because without the dreamer, there is no prapancham. No people, no issues, no feelings, no insults, no praises, nothing. All of them are nothing but the dreamer. But the dreamer is not there. And when does he recognize that? Prabodha samaya. Prabodha samaya ya pratibhyayate, pratibhijñāyate. Recognizing that. Aham sakshiyo vidya. That is the vidya. The Brahma Vidya we've been trying to understand just that. But we are existing in this jagat. The sharira identification, even though a person becomes a jnani, the sharira is still required to exhaust its karma. Therefore, interact with the world. Therefore, hunger is still there. Thirst is still there. That has to be satisfied. So many things have to be done. But they are not done for any end result. End result is already got. Mukta Purusha. And yet, even the Mukta Purusha, whether you're a Mukta Purusha or not a Mukta Purusha, you go through this whole process of waking, sleeping, dreaming. Wonderful method of looking at it. In other Upanishads, dealt with in great detail. But here, he takes the next couple of verses. In a very simple way, look at the states that one goes through and tries to recognize the role of Sakshi and the role of Ahankara in waking, in deep sleep, and in dream states. We will look at this in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Hari Om Swami G. Hari Om Swami Ji.